I have to get my body back in shape. And then, I mean, I can't even hold a pen at this point. And much less a cutting tool. That would be suicide.
He immediately made a very strong impression on anybody because you can't overlook him. The way he was dressed, the way he walked, the way he talked.
Wow. Otherworldly, deeply, organically artistic.
He was a star in the village. It was like this wonderful sense of pure appearance, as existence as art, you know.
They told me I was an artist, knowing little of what they were getting me into. You know, I mean, sometimes I wonder if they'd said, "Oh, Eric, you're going to be a stockbroker," you know. You know.
I met Eric on the dance floor of a discotheque in 1969. He was the most exciting human being I've ever seen. Eric could not have been anything but an artist. He was a quintessential artist in that respect. No matter what he did, whether it was going out to the store, going out for dinner, or even preparing a dinner, everything was done with an artistic bent, with a flair that said, this is art. This is who I am, and this is what I'm all about. I was very disappointed that he did not reach stature in the world of art during his lifetime. I think it was very, very difficult. Book art is not accessible art. It doesn't have the visual acuity that a painting has.
There are quite a few figures who, if they were in painting or sculpture, would be household names and constantly taught within the survey, at the survey level of art since 1945. And I think John Eric would be one of those figures.
The books started coming one after the other, and I started developing my painting style and experimenting with color, which I never had a problem really dealing with. I'm not afraid of color at all. I never was.
Book art is when you use the concept of a codex and sequentiality of text, but you work with the thing to make something new out of it. John Eric draws you into the depths. Delving, that's the word for it. It's like mine shafts going in there. That I have not seen elsewhere. And then he's got this emblematic figure which appears all the time, this floating figure. It's as if you go into another realm, and I think that that's what the figure is about. He was a very complex artist who was very much doing the things just at this moment.
What seems unique about John Eric is that his investment in showing you a visual textuality that isn't word-based, and it's part of what releases the imagery in his books into such an imaginative place.
I can't think of one book artist that makes books like John Eric Broaddus. I mean, we have people that cancel text, they add text, they collage, and they do all kinds of alterations to the page. But I can't think of anybody that I have in the collection, nor I've ever seen anybody, that creates such constructivistic kinds of imagery by the use of cutouts, plus the integration of the visual theme. So he's completely unique. John Urich was really the catalyst. He was the reason why we started to collect artist books. That book, Xylocaine, has pace to it. You're going along and you're looking at different colors, and then you see pale colors, of course with all the cutouts and so forth, and the structural alterations to the page. And bango, toward the end, you get these unbelievable bright day-glow colors, purples and reds, and just jump out at you. That's what it was all about. He was able to produce book art that had visual themes to it. I was a consultant for Key Pharmaceutical, and they asked me to chair a meeting called Asthma Update. They produced a publication. It had a lot of graphs in it and pictures and things in it that were reminiscent of Xylocaine. So I asked John Urich if he would do 3 books, and he agreed to that commission. Each book actually was slightly different than the other. We probably have more than 2,000 artist books. He's one of our stars.
The first book he ever composed, really got him started, was an alteration of Petronius Arbiter's Satyricon.
I just started digging in, cutting holes in it, using magic markers, using tempera, punching holes with my hole puncher. You know, I would do it on my lunch hour, and I took it on vacation with me until finally I got to the last page. It's over 200 and some pages. So that's like around 1972, 73. So it's, the magic marker has been kind of cooking ever since.
You know, there's this stamped message at the very beginning of the book where he says, property of the display department. That word display seems so specific to John Urich's work. He seems to be very aware of the way in which you would dress up a book or make a book sort of show itself off or give it outfits or give it a kind of visual, seductive, playful, theatrical quality. And he's doing that with that particular volume. So that idea of display seems really specific to his work. And all of the little punch pieces that he cut out of the book, he then, there's one little container on the back of the book, but the book itself lives inside of a little metal suitcase that has a plexiglass window in it, and under the window are all of the fragments that came out of the book. And when you rub it with this little rag, those fragments dance. And so to me that's, you know, just such a beautiful image of this process of deconstructing and playing and yet holding on to those bits as if, you know, nothing's going to be lost out of the system.
His very early books are very architectural. They're three-dimensional, but always with a little twist. And he made a whole series of those books. They're very hard on board. He showed his face very often on a stamp. He also wanted to have an impact, I think, with his own personality. He was not the way he showed himself, you know. He was not just evaporating into pure imagery, which had nothing to do with him. He always put again the stamp of himself into most of his books.
I feel like the art should sort of explain itself, and I like to keep the viewer kind of open and free to make their own judgments and their own decisions, instead of me trying to pump them with some kind of philosophy. And I don't want to, you know, I don't want to start developing one of these sort of shrinkology kind of philosophies, which I have run into far too many of. So that's what I keep trying to do. I mean, you know, it's like I don't ever feel like I'm going to be totally successful at it, but on the other hand, I know that I've had some successes.
I would imagine that even when he was a kid, he was doing stuff like that. Because basically what performers and artists do, if they're any good, is just keep doing what they were doing when they were kids.
He was always doing something around the house, creating things, and I know he used to have my dining room table there. He used to have that covered with stuff, doing things, and continuously. I'd collect cardboard and I'd collect crepe paper. I saved my money for crepe paper. I mean, I probably kept the crepe paper company in business. This one, off to the dime store for silver stars and crepe paper. And I mean, I carried on like a maniac, you know, and the house would be a terrible mess. I didn't have any adults that really bothered me. By the time he was born, his father had left, and so he never, I don't think he ever even saw his dad. And he never asked about him, so I guess I never told him much about him. I don't think it bothered him much. The fact that he never ever did see him, you know, and he never was around, that probably he didn't miss him because he never knew him to miss him. He always was interested in ice skating, too. He loved ice skating. He used to go out to the ice skating rink all the time. The figure skating has something to do with my art. Gliding from point A to point B, you know. And it's not necessarily a straight line. It can be a really incredible curve. It could be zigzags. It can be anything, but the idea that there's a quality of glide somehow. When he was in the service over in Germany, that's the first thing that practically that I heard from him. He wanted me to send him his ice skates. He had them all packed ready to be sent to him whenever he knew where he was going to be over there. So I sent him his ice skates over in Germany when he was stationed there in the Army.